What about this? There are people who have started a petition to strip Jon Jones. We're now at 115,135 as of maybe an hour or two ago when we took the screen grab.
UFC stripping Jon Jones of his heavyweight title has exploded past 130,000 signatures on CBS Sports, and it's growing by the hour. Jones has held the belt for over 800 days but defended it just once, petition to strip. Jon Jones of UFC Heavyweight Championship exceeds 120,000 signatures. While Tom Aspinall sits with his interim strap for 18 months, waiting petition to strip Jon Jones of UFC title draws 130,000 signatures. He clearly has no intentions of fighting, cbsports.com.
Jon Jones, you don't know where you stand. Dana said it's the biggest fight in UFC history now, so...
Yeah, I've had enough talking about it, mate. I'm honestly bored of it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll just see. I'm ready to fight whenever they tell me, so just let me know. I'll be there.
Everyone thinks you're a bit of like a quintessential good guy. Could we see a heel turn at some point in the MMA world?
We might do. Who knows? Who knows?
The chaos doesn't stop there. Sean O'Malley's plotting his comeback after losing to Merab Dvalishvili. Jake Paul keeps teasing MMA moves, and the entire combat universe is buzzing like one massive group chat argument.
Final question for me. One more for Sean. Merab just sat down here in the front. It seems like he's wearing your jacket. I'm curious if you have any thoughts about Merab in his red jacket.
Only reason anyone knows Merab's name is because I handed him my jacket. That's it. Not even, it's just it.
Every week brings fresh madness, belts defended, petitions signed, and the man who once felt inevitable now dodging fights while his division burns. Here's May 2025's pure combat chaos breakdown. Because when fan petitions make more noise than actual fights, nothing's guaranteed. Robert Whittaker finally voiced the frustration most heavy and light-heavy fans only vent in comment sections. It's like waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. I'm done. The UFC hasn't publicly blinked, but broadcast partners and sponsor reps quietly admit the belt limbo is starting to freeze negotiations for end-of-year PPVs. If a Jones-Aspinall clash isn't inked soon, some insiders expect the UFC to book Aspinall Gain 2 for a true throne, even if the company never uses the word vacant. But heavyweight purgatory isn't our only crossroads. The bantam to featherweight circus rides next. Sean O'Malley's coach Tim Welch just laid out the blueprint on the Ariel Helwani show. 6 to 7 months, 3 to 5 pounds of lean muscle, and the bantamweight rock star is a legitimate 145-pounder. It's a tantalizing idea, especially if Merab Dvalishvili steamrolls him in their UFC 316 rematch. O'Malley already walks around at 160 pounds. A careful bulk would let him keep the reach and kick dexterity that dazzles sponsors on TikTok. Marketing analysts whisper that a 145 run could unlock fresh opponents and fresh inventory, new Fortnite skins, new NFT gear drops, even a delayed boxing crossover. But the gamble is brutal. Featherweight wrestlers grind harder than bantams, and a rough debut could nuke the sugar aura. Still, in the age of algorithmic buzz, you can't stay still. And nobody illustrates that more than the division's current king of trolling. Tom Aspinall's viral video parodying Jon Jones's notorious Thailand motorcycle clip, complete with Craig Jones squealing, "It's a Jones thing, Tom," hit X within minutes and racked up 6-figure loops overnight. The message was cheeky but clear: I'm active, Jon isn't. Not to be out-memed, Khamzat Chimaev fired his own salvo at middleweight rival Dricus du Plessis, mocking the champ's coaches in a tweet that had fans screaming, "Incoming Khamzat crying spree," before the pixels dried. The mind games feel almost scripted, but the clicks are real, and the UFC's social team happily stitches these spats into highlight reels. Yet some legends still believe the currency of respect matters more than viral jabs. Rampage Jackson's Jackson podcast co-host Bear DeGidio swears Mirko Krokop Filipovic blocked him over a guest appearance mix-up. Krokop clapped back on Facebook saying he simply refused to fly 12 hours just to be bought with a plane ticket. The rift may sound petty, but it spotlights a bigger divide. New school creators live for collabs, while old school greats still guard their mystique and their mileage. Ironically, the feud boosted Jackson's YouTube numbers by 40% in a single day. Controversy still pays, even if the legends hate the hustle. Speaking of legends refusing to fade, another name from the lightweight golden era slid back into headlines. El Kukwai isn't sugarcoating his skid, but he is bullish on Islam Makhachev's welterweight jump. Smart move. Islam defended 4 times more than Khabib, and he made weight. He even called Islam the better grappler of the Dagestani duo. Ferguson also told Helen Yee he'd still coach the Ultimate Fighter opposite Khabib if the UFC reignites that dream matchup. The once unthinkable seems plausible when broadcast rights are in flux and fresh narratives fetch real money. For Islam, 170 represents legacy insurance. For Tony, commentary gigs and coaching are the new battlegrounds. Either way, the lightweight story now spills into 2 divisions. But while veterans chase reinvention, rookies are getting their own piece of collectible history. The UFC has partnered with Topps to sew debut patch logos onto every newcomer's walkout jersey. After the fight, each patch becomes a one-of-one signed trading card slotted randomly into packs. Card nerds love it. Fighters quietly note they don't get a cut of the resale gold. The first patches land this weekend for Michael Aswell and Andreas Gustafsson on a reshuffled Apex card. Meanwhile, July's UFC 318 in New Orleans keeps stacking. Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira and Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci just went official. Those scraps may not headline a Netflix carousel, but they're catnip for hardcore bettors who track topology stats like day traders. And speaking of Netflix, one cryptic tweet has every rights deal rumor on fire. Michael Chandler finally cracked and posted a lone string of numbers. 12,426. Fans decoded it within minutes as January 24th, 2026. A Saturday, presumably earmarked for McGregor Chandler, and maybe the launch PPV of a new streaming partner. Insiders say the UFC-Disney relationship expires next spring, and Endeavor has quietly courted both Netflix and Apple. Imagine Netflix unveiling its combat sports push by dangling Conor's long-delayed return. The Irishman's last outing was a broken leg 4 years ago, but the name still spikes stock tickers. Of course, if you want guaranteed virality, you can always call a Paul brother. Jake Paul spent the week hyping his boxing date with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., then pivoted to taunt Logan with an MMA challenge, just as Logan laid down his own, only if it's MMA condition. Whether it ever happens is moot. Every headline steals oxygen from traditional fight promos. Elsewhere, Ilia Topuria shook his camp weeks before facing Charles Oliveira, blaming stagnation, while Khamzat Chimaev's middleweight mind games kept Duplessis firing back meme for meme. The old lines between sport and theater blur more each week, perfect for creators, stressful for matchmakers. So, is the heavyweight crown actually cursed, or just the most valuable prop in the world's wildest reality show? Jon Jones holds the belt, Tom Aspinall holds the momentum, 130K fans hold the receipts. Sugar Sean may jump weight, Islam may grab a second title, and Jake Paul may someday walk through a UFC curtain, because in 2025, nothing is off limits if the clicks are right. Let me know in the comments. Which storyline pulls you in hardest, and what has to happen next for the UFC to keep its magic without losing its credibility? Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and buckle up, because next week's plot twists are already loading.